Right, football fan. Once the World Cup in Russia reached its end with the incredible French victory over Croatia, many of us believed that our football lives would go back to being boring and that football would grow stale again. With the whole Messi-Ronaldo rivalry coming back, FC Barcelona versus Real Madrid, Juventus winning the Serie A, PSG doing the same in League One, and Bayern in the Bundesliga, you know the rest. But you know what? Despite the fact that much of that did happen, it doesn't mean that we were not entertained. Oh no, in fact, you could say that the 2018-19 season was actually pretty freaking amazing. One of the best in recent years if you think about it. Starting with Luka Modric winning the FIFA Best Men's Player and Ballon d'Or after his incredible season involving both Real Madrid and the Croatian national team, and thus toppling the Cristiano versus Messi Ballon d'Or race. The all-English UEFA Champions League and Europa League finals, which made Great Britain proud, and the return of Ajax to the highest level of European football with a semi-final appearance in the Champions League. It was a great season for the neutrals and the not-so-neutrals, and many great players made their way to the top. Among these players is arguably the one who accomplished the biggest improvement of all, rising from being a relatively new defender in one of the toughest leagues in the world, the Premier League, to becoming the best center back in England. Arguably the current best in Europe, and a top 3 2019 Ballon d'Or candidate who might just outpunch Leo Messi and CR7 to this year's greatest individual award. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to Liverpool FC's incredible Virgil Van Dijk. But where do we even start? Van Dijk's year has been so impressive that you could say that we're spoiled for choices here. Fine, let's start with the stats, the quickest way to know how much a player has been contributing to a team these days. Virgil van Dijk was bought in January 2018 for a world record fee for a defender. £75 million was the amount that Liverpool accepted to pay to Southampton to secure his services, in a deal that made many fans feel like the red team in Merseyside had overspent. How wrong they were, huh? Before his arrival, Liverpool were weak defensively, no matter how you look at it. They were suffering with set pieces, conceding 1.2 goals per match, and suffering to keep a clean sheet in 32% of their matches. With Van Dijk around, they lowered these stats impressively, conceding just 0.5 goals per match and keeping an insane 57% in clean sheets. That's more than half their games without conceding any goals. In previous Premier League seasons, Liverpool would often be among the worst top 10 in terms of defense. This isn't their case once Van Dijk arrived, though. They represented the absolute best defense in the league in the 2018-19 season, despite not lifting the title. Yes, with the help of star goalkeeper Alisson, who was bought for a massive £67 million to replace Loris Karius, Van Dijk improved Liverpool's defense so much that it surpassed even the famous Manchester City's. But if you want to talk about crazy cool stats and not just numbers, let's talk about the fact that he held one of the most impressive stats ever. For 50 Premier League matches, equal to more or less 4,500 minutes of football, Virgil van Dijk was never dribbled past. Let's repeat that, shall we? It took wingers, midfielders, strikers, and number 10s 50 whole matches before someone finally dribbled past him in a one-on-one duel. Arsenal's Nicolas Pepe was the guy who finally managed it, but even then, Van Dijk's Liverpool were the winners of the match. In the Champions League, Van Dijk shone in an even brighter light despite 2 massive losses that could and maybe should have meant Liverpool getting eliminated from Europe's biggest competition. Because, come on, Bayern and Barcelona really let themselves down by getting knocked out in the way they did. He was instrumental in both of their second legs in the round of 16 and semifinals, in which they won 3-1 and 4-0, respectively, going on to lift the trophy itself after winning the final. The trophy that ended the drought, the trophy that joined their incredible 5 previous Champions League titles. Maybe it's time we stopped talking about stats and started talking about those. Virgil van Dijk is no stranger to silverware, but you do have to wonder if he had any idea he'd be lifting a Champions League title just 5 years after he had won his first Scottish Premiership. And it is pretty funny because although he looked like a player too good for Celtic, nobody could have guessed he would have risen to his current heights so quickly, especially while he was playing at relegation-threatened Southampton at the bottom of the Premier League. But nevertheless, he should be credited for everything he's earned as a player, having won 2 Scottish Premierships, a League Cup, and a Players' Player of the Year award at Celtic. He is now one of the most individually decorated players at Liverpool. Even at Southampton, he managed to take home the Southampton's Player of the Season achievement in the 2015-16 season, but it's been at Merseyside where he's truly shown his worth. Twice named in the UEFA Champions League Squad of the Season, winner of the Premier League Player of the Season and PFA Players Player of the Season awards, as well as included in the PFA Team of the Year, UEFA Team of the Year, and the UEFA Nations League Team of the Tournament. Van Dijk has truly sealed shut the mouths of every single person who ever doubted or compared him to other players, including past scouts who believed he was too slow, too tired, or just not good enough. to perform at the greatest levels. What? Didn't you know? At the age of 17, Dutch football club Willem II rejected Van Dijk and allowed him to leave due to the fact that they considered he had way too many limitations to ever be good enough for them. After starting off his career as a right back, he'd moved to a more central position of the defense, but it just didn't work for them. Thankfully, he was spotted by former Dutch international and Groningen's previous manager, Martin Koeman, who signed him up and gave the lad a real chance. This teenager, who preferred to carry his first name on his shirt due to never forgiving his father for walking out on his mother, Helen, was about to take the first steps that would make him a man. And truly, despite having a couple of problems at the beginning, and even having a close brush with death, yes, death, when he had an almost lethal bout of peritonitis on his 20th birthday, Virgil continued to grow, soon cementing his place with Groningen's first team and attracting the eyes of many scouts. Unfortunately, once Groningen had accepted that he had outgrown them and began to offer him around, not one single top Dutch side felt that he was good enough for them. They probably thought more or less what Neil Warnock believed about him long after. He's good defensive-wise, but he's not good as Saul Bamba, and yes, Warnock actually spoke those words out loud. Celtic, on the other hand, had an eye for talent, and they swooped to purchase him for a tiny fee of £2.6 million. Amazingly, at Celtic, he seemed to develop a goal-scoring form that was previously unseen for a center-back his size. In his 2 seasons and a half at the club, he scored a decent 15 goals, several of them not just from headers, as most other center-backs score. The fans and pundits loved him, and he loved Celtic, but it wasn't long before he realized that he could continue looking up, and a move to the Premier League would definitely help cement that possibility. Southampton didn't take long to come knocking, with fellow Dutchman Ronald Koeman offering £13 million to purchase him in the 2015-16 season. It was during this season that he was finally given the call up to his national team, in which he has become a very important player with an eye for the odd goal. Playing for Southampton, Virgil again stuck around for 2.5 seasons, slowly but significantly improving, to the point where he became the most popular center-back target for the biggest clubs. And before long, he was a target for the massive title contenders, Manchester City and Liverpool, who were both interested in landing this valuable defender who could certainly earn them the title. It was Liverpool who won the race for Van Dijk, purchasing him and giving him the first team position immediately in the next match they played, against local rivals Everton in the FA Cup. Guess what? He went and scored the winning goal, becoming the first player to score a Merseyside derby winning goal on their debut since 1901. He was included in Liverpool's Champions League squad and soon strengthened the side, helping them go all the way to the final, where they lost to Real Madrid, mostly because of goalkeeper Karius' mistakes. It was an excellent debut season for Van Dijk, who was considered to be the best Liverpool player after their nigh unstoppable front three of Firmino, Mane, and Salah. And Klopp was thrilled enough to hand him the captain's armband when Henderson and Milner were both rolled out injured the following season. Van Dijk only got better in the 2018-19 season for sure. This was the biggest moment for Liverpool as a whole, as they fought Manchester City in one of the most exciting Premier League title races for years, and only lost a single match in the Premier League all season long, again, boasting the best defense in the league. We just cannot stress this enough, considering how defensively bad Liverpool were before his arrival. As if that wasn't incredible enough, Liverpool also repeated their outstanding feat of reaching the final, this time with great drama in the knockout stages, and won their 6th Champions League title after a glorious 2-0 win over Spurs. It was the pinnacle of Van Dijk's career and partly a product of his effort in being in the Reds' wall, who wasn't willing to let anybody past him during matches. And yet, neither Virgil nor his teammates were done yet. The UEFA Super Cup awaited them, and they were already eyeing it hungrily once summer ended. Chelsea were the opponents, winners of the Europa League. It was a tough match, but Liverpool prevailed, earning yet another piece of silverware after a trophy drought that had extended since 2012. It is no surprise, then, that Van Dijk is rapidly growing in popularity among pundits and fellow players, and that he had a strong grip on the 2019 Ballon d'Or. In fact, many pundits believe that Cristiano and Messi have a tall mountain to climb if they want to win this individual award, especially since they failed to shine this year as they used to. Oh, and that mountain's name? Well, let's just say some people call it VVD. But that's not enough for today. We'll see how well Van Dijk becomes with time. For now, we leave you to our next videos, which we know you'll love. Thanks a lot for tuning in today and discovering the amazing story of Virgil van Dijk's incredible rise. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You're going to love what we have coming up. See ya. This is Goalside.